look at applying systems. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to take these word problems and we're going to write a system of equations for these. So remember that we're going to have two variables and two equations. So you'll have to pay kind of close attention to what goes with which and with what and which equation and all of that. So let's take a look. This is a very, very, very typical like systems of equations. You will almost definitely going to see something like this. There's a stack of 125 coins. The total amount of the coins is $18.05, which consists of only dimes and quarters. We're going to let Q represent the number of quarters and D represent the number of dimes, and we are going to write a system of equations to represent this situation. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to label those two variables and go ahead and write those out. So I'm going to let Q, and don't just write Q is quarters. Q is not quarters. Q is the number of quarters. So I want to make sure you write that out. If you call me over and ask for help on these types of equations, I'm going to ask to see what your variables, what they represent. So you need to make sure you have that in there. So then D is the number of dimes. So again, D is not dimes. D is the number of dimes. And then I'm going to write a system of equations to represent this. So I know that there are 125 total coins. So the number of quarters plus the number of dimes is going to give me 125 total coins. So Q plus D is going to give me 125. Then, so that's my first equation. Ta-da. The second equation, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of give you this little hint. Most of the time, now not always, because sometimes you have like costs and everything, but for the most part, you'll keep all of your money together in the same line. So I know that the total of all the coins is going to be $18.05. So this is going to be 18.05. However, I need some money to kind of be associated with that. So if I want to find the amount of that total that's from the quarters, what I would do is I would take 0.25 and multiply that by the number of quarters, whatever number of quarters I have. So if I have a huge stack of quarters, I can just count those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to however many, and then I can multiply by 0.25 and know the amount that I have of the quarters. And I can do the same thing for dimes. So I'll add that to however much money I get from the dimes part. That's going to be 0.10 times D. So be really careful about that. That's 0.10, not 0.010. 0.010 will be 1 cent, which would be pennies. So just kind of be careful of that. And that's my system of equations. Very, very, very typical here. All right, let's look at example 2 here. We have the Robinson High School Athletic Department has 220 student athletes. And then there are 5 less than twice as many boy athletes as there are girl athletes. Write a system of equations to represent the situation if there are G girl athletes and B boy athletes. So G is going to be the number of girl athletes. So however many athletes they have that are female in the athletic program. And then B is going to represent the number of boy athletes. And so then I have those two names. Now I need to go back and reread my question. I know that there are 220 total. So what makes up that 220 is going to be the boys and the girls. So I have G plus B is going to be my total. There are 5 less than twice as many boys athletes as there are girl athletes. This is where it gets kind of tricky because it looks like when it says twice as many boy athletes as there are girl athletes. So there are more boy athletes. There are 5 fewer. So I'm going to take the girl athletes, multiply it by 2. So I have 2G. And then I'm going to take away 5 from that. And that's going to tell me however many boy athletes I have. I know that that's kind of that seems kind of backwards to write that. But that's how you say that. So there are 5 less than twice as many boy athletes as there are girl athletes. So that boy and girl, it sounds like in the word problem that you would switch the boy and the girl, but you really don't. That's really that you're going to take the girls and multiply by 2. It's twice as many, but then they're going to take away 5 and find out how many of the boys you have. Third example, Sprint claims to be the cheapest cell phone provider. They have a family plan that is $56.99 per month plus $8.99 for each gigabyte used by the family. But Verizon offers a family plan that is $89.99 per month plus $4.29 for each gigabyte used. Write a system of equations for the total cost each month, Y for X amount of gigabytes used. So it kind of tells you, so Y is the total cost per month. And then X is the number of GB used. All right, so I'm going to here, I said keep all your money in the same equation. Well, it's all money. So Y is going to be the total cost. So I'm going to have 2 equations here. I'm going to have one for the fact that we have Sprint and Sprint's total cost. So I have a Sprint equation and I have a Verizon equation. So Sprint equation, the total cost per month is going to be the $56.99 plus $8.99 for each gigabyte used. So I'm going to multiply that by the number of gigabytes that I use, which is X at this point. And then I'm going to have one for Verizon. So Verizon starts out pretty similar, except they start out a little bit more at $89.99. But then for each gigabyte used, I'm going to be at $4.29 for each of those, as opposed to $8.99 for the Sprint. So kind of there. Again, we looked at like the gym membership, like which one, you want the cheapest, but what fits your family the best. All right, so let's take some final notes. So always, always, always determine your variables first. You want to make sure that you name your labels, and I promise that when we come around to help you, we're going to ask you, what do your variables represent? Then you're going to go back and reread. Go back and reread your problem to make sure that you have everything lined up. You want to go through and see these after you've named your variables. Remember that there are 2 variables and there are 2 equations. And you almost always, I have that word almost, because sometimes it's a little bit different, especially like with the cell phone, want to keep all your money, and put that in quotations, all your money in the same equation. So if you have some money, you're talking about money, and then you have some things that you're not talking about money with, then sometimes that helps you keep, these things kind of go here with the money equation. So this is just writing right now. Next lesson, we're going to start solving them.